black storm coming. See the lightning strike. Black people rising.
Give us the ballot, and we will fill our legislative halls with men of goodwill and send to the sacred halls of Congress men who will not sign a Southern manifesto because of their devotion to the manifesto of justice. Give us the ballot, and we will place judges on the benches of the South who will do justly and love mercy. We will place at the head of the southern states governors who have felt not only the tang of the human, but the glow of the divine.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Umoja Circle. My name is Keith Smokey Johnson, and for those of you who are new to the show, the purpose of the Umoja Circle is to correct errors where errors are found and to introduce facts when we find that so many people are working on fiction when it comes to who we are as people of African descent. I also believe that when you get information through dialogue, there will be a shift of consciousness. And when there's a shift of consciousness, there will be a change in your world view. And this show is the second part of a two-part talk series that I've been doing on voting. And the purpose of me even putting this two-part series together is based on the disturbing things I'm hearing from people that look like me about not voting in this coming up 2024 election. This is more, I want to show through history, like I said in the previous show, that the past is never dead. Even though things happened 200 years ago, 100 years ago, it still affects the present moment. Okay, in fact, the word present, if you take the PRE from the SCNT, present, the present was sent to you by some choice or some historical event that happened in the past. So we're never separated from the past. And when it comes to voting, and as I tried to show in the first part, I'm going to, before I end, I would like to start where I kind of left off in the previous show. I want to start with this statement right here so that we can go back to, if you want to hear what I had to say the first show, feel free to listen to part one of this session. But this is part two. So I want to start with this thing. And this is what I try to emphasize in part one, that politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. They're the same. The passions of a war is done politically in a way so that the passion doesn't spill over to what happened in 1861 and 1865 on a battlefield. But all the dynamics of a war is found in politics. And if you don't put your interests into whatever it is that you're fighting for, especially as black people, and don't vote because as a citizen, the right that you were given by the 14th Amendment in 1868 means that you had, and the 15th Amendment, which gave you the Voting Rights Act, and I know those things were just on paper, even though, and that's my point, you still had to fight. We still had to fight. Like the video that you saw before I came on with Brother Martin. This was 100 years, almost 100 years after the war, and he still was talking about voting rights. So the people who have other interests in this political war, America's political system, American government is a perpetual war, and you got to understand that. America's judicial system is a adversarial type system. Okay, a perpetual adversary. Okay, that's what the criminal justice, you have the prosecutor and the defendant. That's adversarial. Politics is warlike, And you got to have strategies. You have to have collective interests, not individuals. Anybody who's been in the military know they don't train you to be individuals. They train you to work as a collective, as a group. And if you don't participate in that war, whatever battle, whatever political agenda that you want for your personal interests, comes through a collective effort. And our ancestors understood that. That's why they fought in this political war. I'm not saying this is the only thing that functions in America. You could go ahead and vote and then still protest. You can vote and still push your interests. You could vote, still form a third party, but you got to vote, because if you don't vote, you're not going to get a say in this system. Okay, I'll repeat what I said in the first show, but the quote by Winston Churchill. He said that democracies are very bad. They're messy. But compared to all the other systems on this planet that we have, it is the best thing going so far. Okay? And if you don't understand that this is the system that you're in, and if you don't function within it, it's never going to work for you. First of all, we should know what it means like if we understood our history. We got disconnected from that. It's called the momentum of memory. Momentum of memory means that you don't remember this truth that one of the greatest collective that we have when we move forward in life is the knowledge of our ancestors. Okay, they are still part of the community. In African traditions, there's no separation from our ancestors. They're found in books. Okay, that's how they speak to us. They speak to us through our elders who had their grandmothers saying or their great-grandparents saying. So our elders are still part of us. And the past is still part of the present. And I'm going to talk about the past and our fight to get to the thing that you're taking advantage of. First of all, we were brought here not as somebody from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, or Guyana, or Georgia, or Louisiana, or wherever black people are in this diaspora. We were brought here as African people on those boats. It's just where those boats dropped us off. Whether you're Haitian or from South Carolina, don't forget that truth. And those ancestors, even the ones on at 1619 at Point Comfort in Virginia, okay, they had ancestors too. And those ancestors connect us to the African continent. We are African people, regardless of what you might think. All right? Whatever craziness I've been hearing about us not being this, we are African people. Our ancestors tell us that. And as a black man, I take responsibility to speak our cultural truth on this show. So let's go on to where I left off. I left off with this sister right here. You've heard her. This is a younger version of Sister Moses, Sister Harriet Tubman. Again, I showed pictures of other people that came before her, David Walker and Sojourner Truth, and those folks who were fighting the fight before she came into. But this powerful sister is an ancestor who was in a system that didn't work for her too. So I don't know what people today are complaining about. Why should I vote? Your sister doesn't work. She made it work. This is how she made it work. Besides taking over 300 or 500 of her family and friends and other folk that she didn't know, took them through the Underground Railroad, one of the greatest conductors of the Underground Railroad, Sister Harriet Tubman. Let's go on to the next one. This is one of her greatest exploits that many people don't know. She's one of the first female to lead Union troops that had colored troops and some white troops in the Combahee River raid. Okay, nearly 800 enslaved men, women, and children rushed to U.S. forces and others. Okay, and Harriet Tubman, she was one of the people who led this raid. This sister, this black woman. Okay, because how do you think that we fought the South, fought the Confederacy? She wasn't complacent. She did her job through Underground Railroad, but she still fought in the Civil War. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Again, 189,000 black men fought. We wasn't given our freedom. We fought for it, even when we were not even citizens, even when we did not have the right to vote. We knew that we had, we came from ancient systems. You know, it wasn't that we didn't know what a society was without a civilization. Those people that came from the continent of Africa connected to, you know, Mansa Musa, the great Mali Empire. We had empires. We ran government. The Ghana Empire that lasted from 300 BC to 1250 before the Mali Empire came into being. Black folks, we knew that. If you're disconnected from your momentum of memory, you think we didn't accomplish anything, and you can do stupid things like not vote because you don't understand the long traditions of fighting for our rights. Let's go on into the next one. This is another ancestor, Brother Frederick Douglass. He's the one who said, you know, power concedes nothing without struggle. So if you're not struggling, if you're not getting off your butt and at least voting with the rights that these folks fought for in the mid 1800s, because the citizenship didn't come until the 14th Amendment. Okay, the 14th Amendment in 1868. The voting, the 15th Amendment, I think it was 1870. Okay, and you're not going to take the advantage that they didn't have, that they fought for. How could you? The momentum, no other group does that. Why black folks who saying that they don't want to vote? Come on, let's go on to the next one. Okay, not only Frederick Douglass, but two of his sons. These are the two of his sons who joined the 54th Massachusetts Regiment. Two of Frederick Douglass' sons. That's their enlistment slips. And they were there, the 54th, at the Battle of Fort Wagner. Okay? We fought. We didn't accept anything. There is this book right here I want to stop and show you. Not only that, during this period of time this is called the Colored Convention Movement. We've always did that. We had conventions. This has been our thing. Even before we were voting, we decided what we're going to do as a collective. We worked as a collective. Let's go on to the next one. Again, if you want to understand us, it's in books, brothers and sisters. I just want to show you that this is the Confederacy. Okay, this is the same kind of ideology that formed that. It's what's in the same ideology that's talking about states' rights and all this stuff. This is the same ideology that these white supremacists and white nationalists are talking about in the 2024 election. Okay, that war ended in 1865. Okay, at Appomattox. But it continued in the political arena to this very day, the same ideology, those same people who want to form that kind of society. And what happened with that? In fact, those ideologies even spread up into other parts of the country that once was a Union place. If you look at some of the Republican type of ideas, that's where they get the ideas, white supremacy. And guess what? In that kind of society, what do you think black people are going to be treated as? Okay, you think that it's done because of some law that was passed? No, it's a perpetual war. That's what I want you to understand. And if you don't do your part in your lifetime, then you spit in the face of those who did their part in their lifetime, because this war does not stop. It continues as long as there's a government. This is how this government works. It is a perpetual war. Your interest group is your army, and you're going to vie and make alliances and make treaties, and you're going to come together and fight those who are detrimental to your interest. Perpetual war. Let's go on to the next one. During the 1870s, during the time of Reconstruction, that as W.D. Du Bois would say, that's when we really shined. That's when we had these rights, okay? That's when you had black people came out of slavery. In fact, between 1865, when we were so-called freed by the 13th Amendment. Again, economically, we were not compensated for 246 years of forced labor, okay, non-compensated, but we were freed. But being the collective, not a bunch of individuals, a collective, we worked together and we formed schools. One of the greatest achievements of any group of people in this country, black people, and I'm going to say like this, when we came out of that enslavement, because we were stupid, but because for 246 years, it was against the law to read and write, okay? Act Frederick Douglass, okay? Act Harriet Tubman, Act Sojourner Truth, okay? And what we did between 1865 and the turn of the 1900s is that we went from 90 to 95% illiterate to down, and we brought it down to about 40% literate. We formed our own schools when they said they wouldn't give us schoolings. We formed it. Poor dirt farmers pooled their wealth and built a schoolhouse. Even though they tried to say separate but equal, you know, with Plessy versus Ferguson. We did not care. We worked the system. If this is the system you say, then we'll demand it. We fought, and don't ever think that they were complacent. You did not come from a people that were complacent. You know, the only reason that this exists, I showed in this map, it showed that it was because the military was in there for those times. Okay, that we had the Reconstruction, so there are interest groups who did not want you to do that. Why do you think we had to have military in these regions, which again was the Confederacy, okay? Because it was not accepted that you were supposed to be there, but we fought against it. During that period of time, there were hundreds of massacres and towns that were burnt. Communities that we fought back though. Don't think we didn't. Just like this book here, another book I want to focus on before we go on. Let me get a close up of this book. This book here, We Will Shoot Back, and and this is another book that shows that this is a big book, that we fought back white supremacy. We did not accept that the fact that you say, even though we were citizens and we had our rights. There was a big battle in New Orleans. You didn't know about that, but it's in a book, okay? That fought in the 1870s when white supremacists, Ku Klux Klan types, or whatever these type of white supremacist type of groups decided that they were not going to let people vote. Well, no, it was not going to happen. And you're going to say, I'm not going to vote? And you're going to let the other interest groups dominate and take over and write laws that's still going to affect the rest of us that look like you? No, we don't come from a people like that. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I'm not saying, again, like I said in the previous show, voting is not the catch-all, okay? This is not a public service announcement, but it's the system that we have, and it's one of the tools in the toolbox, okay, or the tool belt. We got to use the tools we have. Let's go on. So our next one, okay? These were not, many of us think that we just recently have senators. You hear the white-facing news media, Arnock in South Carolina, first senator and congressman. No, we had black senators, we had black congressmen. Look at the dates, okay? But what happened to them by the turn of the 1900s? They were all gone. Plessy versus Ferguson, other interest groups who control and manipulate the laws. That's what we're fighting against. Checks. The founding fathers created, I said in the first show, created this system as a perpetual war. And if you don't fight in this perpetual war, your interests, that goal that you have, whatever it is, you're not going to achieve it as a bunch of individuals. What army fights like that as a bunch of individuals? They fight as a collective, okay? Not everybody's going to be similar, but you're going to have a similar goal, okay? That's why we had these conventions, and that's why we put those black men into Congress in the 1870s. Let's go on to the next one. Until 1877, this is what they call, when you might hear some people say of the betrayal of the Republican Party in 1877. This is what Rutherford B. Hayes gets Samuel Tilden. And just like happened with Bush v. Gore, and what happened about with close vote, the Electoral College fiasco again that went on. In order for Tilden had won the popular vote, sounds familiar, but there was a tie in the electoral vote, and 3 Confederate states said that they would go with Rutherford B. Hayes if he would promise to get rid of those troops, like I showed you in that map, that were in those military districts. And when those troops went, all hell broke out for all the black people who were in those areas, okay? Again, that's the betrayal of 1876, 1877. Little known facts. And you had things like this. Wilmington, South Carolina. I got another book, that talks about it, The Wilmington Lie. It was another one hit well before Black Wall Street in 1920s. This was in the late 1890s, okay? 1898. Burnt them down. And this is when you had black and white Republicans made these fusion parties. They joined together. They were certain allegiance. Just like a war, you make alliances. In World War II, let's remember that we were enemies of Russia before World War II, but didn't we fight with Russia at the end of the war? Because it was our both interest groups had a bigger interest in destroying Germany and the aggressive Japanese empire, okay? Wars are like that. And if you don't understand the power of what they call interest conversions, as it's called, okay, where you might have to ally yourself with people that have their own interests, but this is how the system is supposed to work. But if you don't participate, you're not going to get the benefits of a war. Wars are messy, wars are ugly, and like what this church has said, but it's the only thing we got going. This is the reality, folks. You better participate in the 2024 elections and all future ones if you want a future with your interests and your children's interests, because they're going to have to deal with the results of your decisions. Just like 2016 decision not to vote, look at the mess we have with the Supreme Court judges that we have now. Clinton would not have put those 3 Supreme Court judges into positions if she got into power. I don't care if you like her or not. It's your interests, folks, not your individual interests, the collective interests. Our ancestors taught us that, and we have this momentum of memory got disconnected from us, and we started looking at our own individual selves instead of understanding the collective group and our interest group. That's my point. Let's go on to the next image. This sister, Rosa Parks, she could have went home that December day and not even worried about what was going on with black folks, and she was too tired. But look, she said, I'm not gonna give up my seat, okay, on that bus. Look where she ended up. That's a fighter. That's a political statement that she made, okay? She didn't do it for herself. She did it for the group. All the folks of Montgomery, all the brothers and sisters that all over the Confederacy, or what we call the War of the South. Let's go ahead, next one, okay? She gave, this is what she had to deal with. This is your ancestors that you are slapping in the face when you don't vote. Go ahead, let's go on to the next one. John Lewis, okay? The Congressman John Lewis. Do you think he would rather sit around on campus when he was in college, or what he was out there fighting not for himself, but for others like us, so that you could wear your Versace's and become, basketball stars and rent limousines? This is in my lifetime, brothers and sisters. This is not some ancient period of time, and just short period of time you've forgotten. How? I just don't understand that. Let's go on to the next one. Now, the Black Panthers, this picture is interesting. Okay, the Black Panthers, you might remember, from Oakland and in California in 1966 and stuff, 65. They got their name from these folks, and these were dirt farmers in Alabama, Mississippi. But this was the thing that they put together when you have these freedom rides period of time. This is deep in enemy territory. Okay, see that brother with the gun? We weren't no shaky. We shot back, as that book said. The name Black Panther, many of these brothers and sisters came out of the military of World War II. They saw what liberty was. They understood. They saw their partners and their friends die on beaches. Medgar Evers was on Omaha Beach, folks. And he got killed in Mississippi. Survived Omaha Beach, but killed in Mississippi. Brothers like this were the ones who came back. Okay, this is what this book means. Let me zoom in on this quick book for a minute. We returned fighting. These brothers from World War I. Okay, World War I, and the shaping of modern black identity. These are the brothers that came back and had to deal with the red days of rioters. Had to deal with it was brothers like this who had to in Tulsa. The ones who got their guns, they were World War I veterans. The brothers like you saw in that picture were World War II veterans. We fought, we had to go overseas to fight, but we had to come back and fight. And you're slapping them in the face if you're gonna let the things that they did and your momentum of memory, you forgot these sacrifices and you think you don't have time. You're tired. You're working hard. Look at that brother. He's working hard. And in a society that 100 years earlier said he was free. 100 years earlier said he had the right to vote. 100 years earlier said he was a citizen. And we still have to fight, and we're still fighting today because what are they doing? They're trying to take away those rights. So let's go on to the next one. This brother. He sacrificed. He was arrested 32 times. The brother had mental breakdowns, depressions, okay, because of the stress that was on him. He was 26 years old, 28, something like that, in Montgomery, when he started the boycott, the bus boycott. Let's go on quickly. Here he is again. This is how Martin was treated. You see the statue in D.C., this is how he was treated during that period of time. Let's go on real quick. Look at that sister. She's giving up? Black folks, we fought. Look at this. We fought, brothers and sisters. Understand that. Stop police killing. That's in the 1960s or 50s, and we're still saying the same thing right now. This is what we had to deal with in America, in this physical war. Who said we are satisfied? Understand this truth. Let's go on. This is what we had to deal with. We didn't stay home. We didn't stay home. We did not stay home. We fought. We voted, and then we protested. We voted, then we started third-party groups. We voted and drank at water fountains. We voted, even if we're dirt poor. We taught our children to vote. We had practices in our black schools. This is what we had to deal with, brother. This is who we are. Freedom is not free. So until next time, and in November of this year, vote. That is my message. So until then, peace, hotep, bye-bye.